Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today for driving product adoption with insight-driven playbooks. Really happy to have you here, and we're excited to have Paul Phillips, the CEO and founder of Amity, here today for the webinar. Just some housekeeping notes before we get started. We're going to be having Q&A at the end, so don't worry. And if you want to follow us and have the conversation on social media, please tweet us at GetAmity. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Paul Phillips.
Thanks, Matthew, and thanks everyone for coming out today. And we're really excited to have this conversation about product adoption and insight-driven playbooks. And hopefully there's a lot of good material here, and you'll have a lot of questions. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is a quick overview of the customer success revolution, just to give us a foundation and some context. And then we're going to talk about adoption and why it's so important and why it's such a key issue for recurring revenue businesses to focus on. And then we're going to talk about owning and managing what we at Amity call the customer experience curve, and how that's really the key to driving adoption. And then we're going to talk about the insight-driven playbooks and how it applies to improving product adoption. And then we'll spend 3 minutes on Amity, and then we'll take your questions. Great. So 3.5 years ago, when we started Amity, I think there was 1,000 searches in Google Trends for customer success, and I think it's grown 15 times that in the 3 years that we've been in business. Obviously, there's a major shift going on, and the fundamental driver of that shift is that consumers and businesses have changed the way they buy, and they now have a strong preference for subscription, cloud-based services, or recurring revenue services, and that changed everything, as you know, and we'll be talking about. So the first point is that the subscription business isn't a product business at all. The subscription business is really a relationship business. And I don't mean that in the motherhood and apple pie sense of, hey, you got to have a relationship with your customers. Of course that's true. I mean that in the sense that SaaS businesses are burdened with the need to manage all of their customer relationships all of the time. Because in a recurring revenue business, you've just got to keep that revenue coming in. So you've got to keep on top of your customers, and you have to be managing all of those customer relationships. And the technology industry and the software industry, we didn't have that problem in the past. We didn't have to manage all of our customers all of the time. We managed our customers when we sold to them and when we renewed the maintenance contract. But that's not good enough anymore. And so SaaS businesses, subscription businesses have a totally new DNA, and in that the vendor success process and the customer success journey are tightly interwound, and they're one and the same thing. So a vendor may think about their process as land a customer, get them to adopt, and expand the revenue from that customer. But the customer doesn't think of it that way at all. They think of it as making a decision, a tough, risky decision, transforming their business, and then producing some results or getting some outcomes. So the same things are going on and at the same time, but the vendor and the customer have a very different view of it. But the success of each are totally interwound together, and so that's the DNA of the new subscription relationship. So to solve this problem, we have to manage all of our customers at all of the time, and we have to keep all of the revenue coming in and recurring. Customer success came to the rescue. As far as I can tell, customer success was invented 10 or 11 years ago by Mark Benioff at Salesforce.com, and has spread throughout the entire SaaS and increasingly the entire software industry. And since everyone on the phone is a customer success person, all I'm going to say about that is the job of customer success is to actively manage all of those customer relationships, to reduce churn, to grow the existing revenue base, and to influence new sales. But customer success as a department isn't enough of a solution. Customer success is actually a process, a key business process that exists throughout the whole company. So the customer success team may be on the front line, but if the product team isn't building the right usability and the right feature set, and the marketing team isn't talking about the right benefits and the right features, and the sales team aren't making the right promises, the customer's not going to be successful no matter what the customer success team does. So this is a new mission-critical business process on the scale of the ERP process and the CRM process. It's a strategic asset for the whole company. Okay, so that's the context of customer success. So let's dive into why focus on adoption? Why are we all here today? Why do we think that adoption is so important? And why spend so much time on it? And basically, adoption is the foundation of the customer success organization. Without a systematic ability to drive adoption through your customers, the rest of the customer success mission can't possibly get fulfilled because your customers haven't started to adopt the product in a predictable way yet. Now, when I say adoption, I mean something a little bit different, I think, than you might hear the word adoption right at the beginning. So I'll start off by defining what low adoption is. And so that's a picture of a local gym at the end of January. This gym was completely full at the beginning of January. Adoption was crazy there. But low adoption starts creeping in around the middle of the month, and by the end of the month, all of that equipment's going unused. So just getting customers to use the product isn't enough. Sure, they're using the product, but if they're on the treadmill and they're eating a Big Mac and their fries, they may not be getting the results that they hired you to get. So while having people use your product is a great first step, it's not the only thing that you have to accomplish. So the first step away from low adoption is ineffective adoption. And I have to give a shout out to the Technology Services Industry Association. I'm using their terminology here today because I love it so much. And so after ineffective adoption comes effective adoption. This is a picture I took of myself this morning. No, I'm just kidding. But in effective adoption, you're getting the results that you wanted to get. And you're producing the outcomes. And so that combination of product usage and outcome generation is the heart of product adoption. Because if your customers aren't getting those outcomes, they're not going to stick around. That's what's in it for them. Okay, so that means that adoption becomes the foundation of the customer success process, because that's how your customers are getting their results. And so this is where adoption management meets the customer results, and that's where the revenue is produced. If you're helping your customers adopt your product in a way that they're producing outcomes, then they will not churn, they will advocate your product, they'll keep using your product, they'll buy more from you, they'll be happy customers. Okay? So adoption is really the foundation of everything that goes on in a SaaS business. So adoption is the customer success view of the challenge. Outcomes is the customer's view of the challenge. And everything good that comes out of a customer success team happens when adoption is producing the customer outcomes that the customer hired you to produce. That's when you can expand your customers. That's when you're aligned with your customers. That's when you get renewals. That's when you can manage the business, manage the customer relationship. So this marriage of adoption and customer outcomes is the foundation of customer success. Okay, so if adoption is so important, how do we manage it? What do we do? And so the first concept in managing that customer experience curve is that product adoption is what I call the customer experience curve. And I'll just throw the next slide up and explain what the customer experience curve is. So the concept of an experience curve has been in management talk for about 40 or 50 years now. Experience curve is the advantages you build up over time as you gain more experience in running your business. And why that's relevant to a SaaS business is because here on the left, when your customer buys your product, they're producing outcomes in their business at that level. So we recently at Amity, we bought a content management hub for our go-to-market strategy. And when we bought that hub, we were getting a certain number of visitors to our website and a certain number of leads that were converting there. And this is what I wanted. So I wanted more visitors, and I wanted more leads, and I wanted a higher conversion rate. And to get there, it wasn't just a matter of, hey, Matthew, let's turn on our content management hub and start using it, and the visitors will start coming, and the leads will just fall out. We had a lot of learning to do, and we had a lot of learning to do about how to use that vendor's product, and we had a lot of learning to do about what content worked for our audience, what content converted, what content didn't convert. So we inched our way up that acceleration curve, just learning the tactics, learning the content, and then it started to really kick in, and our visitors went up, and our leads went up, and the customer success team at our vendor was there the whole time, coaching us along the way, showing us how to use their product, showing us what our effective content strategy was. It was a great example of managing a customer up the customer experience curve. And once we had done all of that learning, once we had put those new practices in place, once we had mastered the product, we got the results that we were looking for, and now we're starting to think, what's the next goal for us? Okay, so this is the hard work of customer success. Getting your customers up that experience curve. It's more than training them on their product, on your product. It's more than answering their technical questions. It's more than being delightful and charming with them on the phone. It's really coaching them to perform at a new level in their business. And so you have to work with them on their processes, on their technology, on their skill level, on their business practices, and as a general category, you're working with them to develop new capabilities that'll produce the results that they want using your product. So that's what really drives adoption, is new capabilities internally to the customer's business using your product that produces the results that they want. So let's walk through an example of that. So it might start with a customer success plan, and the customer success plan would have a few outcomes. And, in our case, the outcomes would have been visitors, leads, and conversion rate, and would have had goals for those by a certain date. So I wanted to see a certain level of outcomes by the end of the year. That's what I was measuring to and we were working to. And so that's the core of a customer success plan. And along the way, there may be key features that you want to be tracking that show you that the customer is starting to get more experience with the product, or they aren't getting more experience with the product. There are certainly things in our content management hub that we do today that we really didn't understand at all 4 months ago when we first started to use the product. And I'm sure the customer success team there, I'm sure of this because they're one of our customers, are tracking those key features so that they know that we're progressing up that experience curve. Okay, so that's a typical, this is where managing mapping the experience curve starts. And this is what it looks like, mapping out the experience curve. And along the bottom are stages that the vendor may go through in their internal customer success process. So you'll have a launch, and you'll have an initial launch with them and a kickoff, and they'll sign off on the customer success plan. You'll raise a glass of orange juice and toast to success, and then they get to work. And maybe the first goal is a 10% adoption rate. So you'd like to see them have a 10% adoption rate in a certain period of time. And to do that, you might be tracking just a few of the initial key features. And but you want to see that happen in 1 week or 1 month, because if it doesn't happen in that time frame, you're probably having some kind of problems. Then once they get to that stage, you might come in your process and do some training with them, train the team, do some product training, and work with them to start developing some new capabilities. So at this stage, when we were rolling out our content marketing hub, our vendor had a long conversation about the mechanics and tactics of SEO. And we learned a lot about what works in SEO and what doesn't work. And then they left us on our own to get to the next goal. And that next goal may be a 25% adoption rate, where you're at 25% of the outcome goal level, and you're starting to use some of the advanced features. And then at that rate, they're at that level of adoption, then you may come in and you may coach them. So you may start giving them some product advice. Certainly we had made a few mistakes in our implementation, and our vendor helped us sort that out. And you may start doing some capability coaching. This is certainly something we do with all of our customers in helping them take on these kind of dynamic experience curve management projects. We'll coach them through that process. And so you have that intervention, and then maybe the next goal is to see them get to a 50% adoption rate, and 50% of their outcomes and a few more key features in a certain period of time. So this is an example of mapping out the process of having people go through the getting up that experience curve. And in the next slide, I'll just abstract that out a bit. And what you have going on there are really the beginnings of two different playbooks. So down here on the bottom is an internal customer success playbook, launch, training, coaching. And then up at the top, there is a second playbook that isn't like this at all. It's really about managing the customer's journey from 10% to 25% to 50%. Okay, so in mapping out the process to have the customer get up that experience curve, you just automatically develop the sketches, the beginnings of a couple of playbooks, but they're very different types of playbooks, and I'll talk a little bit more about the differences, but this is an internal business process, and this is an external journey. This might be a manual process, and this might happen automatically. Okay, so now you've got a couple of playbooks for managing your customers up that experience curve. So how are we going to track how we're really doing with that? And you'll want to define a few insights that will point out to you where they are on that curve. And in the 2 slides ago, I hinted a little bit at those insights, because 10% adoption, 25% adoption, 50% adoption, those aren't really metrics. That's really an insight that you're looking for to tell you where they are in their process. And so to manage that process really effectively, really dynamically, and really be on top of your customers, you want to start mapping out what are the insights that are going to tell me what progress they're making off that experience curve. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about insights. So what is an insight? Seems like an obvious thing, but an insight is something that spotlights an important situation to you. And it's not data. It may have some data associated with it, but it's not data. It's not a metric. It's not just about counting things. It's about telling you information that you can use to take action in your job. And a typical dashboard doesn't give you that level of actionable insight. So what you're looking for in an insight is something that's going to tell you the information you need to make good decisions about how to take care of your customers. And the important component of an insight is the action that it opens up. So you'll know that you've developed a useful set of insights when it's really clear to you what action needs to happen when that insight becomes true for a customer. So for example, when we were using our content marketing hub, we got to about a third of our goal in visitors, And then we stalled for a while. And our customer success team reached out to us and interviewed us to see what was going on, and found out that we had messed something up in the beginning, helped us get that straightened out, and then we kept making our way up towards the goals that we had set for ourselves. So the only thing that produces results for your customers are the actions you take. And the way to be effective in customer success is to take the right action for the right customer at the right time, and it's the job of your insights is to guide you there. Okay, so what kind of insights might you put in place? So here's a list of possible insights. This isn't an exhaustive list by any means. So an event insight. Event insight is when something good or something bad happens. The extreme example is the product goes down. That's an event. If you're just tracking logins, a login is event, although it may not be something good or something bad. So it's just something that happens that is meaningful and actionable. The next level up from an event insight is a status insight. So that's a process or a person, either ahead of plan or behind plan, or on track. So you've got a goal. It might be to produce a certain level of result, or to get implemented by a certain date. And an insight is we're on track, we're off track. Then the next level up in insights are outcome insights. So these are insights that will help you track whether the customer is going to produce the outcomes that they hired you to produce, that you identified in their customer success plan. And you may do this by actually tracking the level of outcomes and seeing if the trend is heading in the right direction, or you may have early warning metrics that you track that will give you the insight that you need about the level of outcomes they produce. So that's outcome insights, extremely valuable. We work with all of our customers to make sure that they're tracking their customer outcomes and getting insights about their customer outcomes. That's really a high leverage point. The next level up are trend insights. So this is where maybe the rate of producing a result or an outcome is going up or going down. So maybe we got 2,000 visitors in 1 week, and then 2,200 the next week, and then 2,500 the next week. So our rate of outcomes is really starting to expand. And in that case, we might look like an upsell opportunity to our vendor. And so this is just any metric that you want to track who's changed against trend. And then the next level of insight, this is where you start getting into things that start looking like health scores or components of health scores, risk insights, opportunity insights. And this is where you're calculating, the risk of churn, or the probability of an upsell, or the probability of making or missing quota. Those are all examples of risk insights, and those are typically composite insights to give you a sense of where that customer is, towards churning or upselling. And then the last type of insight that I'm going to talk about today is a velocity insight, and this is another one that we do for a lot of our customers, but they don't expect to do it at the beginning. And a velocity indicator is just a measure of how fast they're going through something that you're tracking. So a lot of our SaaS companies that use Amity to convert trials will measure the velocity of the trial. So If someone comes into a trial and they log in, they create a profile, they upload some data, and they print a report all in the first day, that's a high velocity trial. Those guys might convert, and you want to really pay close attention to them. Whereas if someone logs in one day, 3 days later logs in and creates half a profile, well, they're on the milk run and probably not a likely candidate to convert. So there's going to be a lot of information in the velocity through which your customers are going through their journeys. Okay, so that's a little bit about insights. And now let's feed that into a conversation about playbooks. I'm sure you've all heard the term playbook. So obviously, as we all get ready for the Super Bowl, a playbook is, a coin from the football term for a playbook, and it defines all of your workflows and standardizes them and optimizes them. So it's your workflows for all of your customer-facing actions. Step by step, these are your tactics, these are your best practices, this is how you do business. Okay, there are a number of different types of playbooks that we've discovered working with our customers. The top level, probably the most common in a high-touch B2B SaaS company, is the manual playbook. And that's just a playbook where you have several stages, and when you think you're done with a stage, you move the customer to the next stage and pick it up from there. The next level up from that is what we call a checklist playbook. And a checklist playbook is one that comes with a number of tasks that need to be completed at each stage. So an onboarding playbook may have, send a welcome email, do a value analysis, schedule a training call, and then once all those tasks are completed, the playbook will move the customer to the next stage in the playbook automatically. That's a checklist playbook. The next level up from that is a fully automatic playbook. So this is one where you have no manual intervention at all. And typically, these are used for managing customer journeys. So in my earlier example of 10% adoption, 25% adoption, 50% adoption, those would be calculated insights, and there would be rules for when to move the customer through each of the stages in that playbook, and it would all happen automatically. And then there's a hybrid playbook for maybe the playbook gets kicked off automatically and then is managed manually after the first step or two. But we've seen a number of customers mix automatic stages with manual stages. And then the last type of playbook is what we call a campaign playbook. And that's a fully automated playbook. And so it may have step one, do these 3 tasks that end up sending an email, and then wait a week. And then step 2 is do these 2 tasks, and it looks like a highly personalized version of a HubSpot workflow or a Marketo automation. So that's a campaign playbook. They're all appropriate to different types of tasks in the customer success organization, and many of our customers use a combination of all of these types of playbooks. Okay, so how can we combine the insights that we're collecting about our customers and these playbooks that we've put together? And so I just put together a little abstract diagram here to show a playbook. This could be a trial conversion playbook. This could be an onboarding playbook where you've got 3 three stages, and the action steps that happen at each stage, and the insights can be fed in a number of different ways. So very common, probably the most common use of insights are to move an account into a playbook when a certain condition happens. For example, if I'm late on my 25% adoption goal, I might automatically put that account into intensive care. That's where they get some remedial help to turn them around. And so that's the most common use of insight for driving adoption. But you can have automatic steps all along the way in the playbook for different insights to move a customer from stage 1 to stage 2. And the 25% adoption insight would be a great example of that. And you would have a rule that defines the insight, and when that combines, some level of key feature tracking and some level of key outcome tracking, and when that insight hits 25%, automatically move the account to the next stage, maybe send the account an email, maybe send the CSM an email saying that transition had happened. And then on the exit condition of the playbook, you may have an insight driver rule there that moves the account into a next playbook. So, it may be as simple as if they come out of the onboarding playbook successfully, automatically move that account into the adoption playbook. So these are simple ways that you can use precise insights to drive a playbook so that you can keep on top of how all of your customers are adopting your product and moving up their experience curve. Okay, so what type of playbooks have we seen working with our customers? And here are the common ones. So the internal workflow playbooks, obviously onboarding, trial conversion, quarterly business review, renewals, upselling, risk management or triage, training, intensive care. There are all sorts of different flavors of those kind of playbooks that, some set of all these internal workflows will be active at all of our customers. And examples of journey playbooks, I guess the trial conversion would probably be a journey playbook too. I put it in the wrong place. So adoption management. So the example I showed you earlier. And journey management. Journey management's a little different than adoption management. Journey management is trial conversion. It's an example of a journey management where you want to see them log in, then you want to see them fill out a profile, then you want to see them upload some data, then you want to see them create a report, then you want to see them email a friend. That's journey management. You're not tracking adoption so much as just key features that they're using. New feature adoption, critical journey playbook. How are my customers doing with that big new release that came up? Are they using the analytics? Are they not using the analytics? Are half users using the analytics? And also quota or consumption management. So not every business has the luxury of being a subscription business. Some are pay-as-you-go businesses, and for those types of businesses, actually tracking the customer's consumption against some sort of goal or quota can be a very effective way of not losing accounts, not losing money on accounts, and taking advantage of opportunities. Okay, so that's a quick tour through using insight-driven playbooks to drive customer adoption. The key points are, this is the wrong slide, but I'll tell you what the right slide said. So outcome-focused customer success is critical. Managing that customer experience curve is key to product adoption, and product adoption is the foundation of customer success. If product adoption isn't a systematic, predictable process, then all of the other goals and elements of the customer success mission will be hit and miss. Okay, so that's a really quick tour through insight-driven playbooks and product adoption. I'm going to take 3 minutes to introduce you to the Amity product and how we do everything that we just talked about, and then I'm going to open up to your questions. So if you've been writing down your questions, start entering them into the question box in the Ready Talk window, and I'll take all of your questions. Okay, so Amity is a customer success platform, but our special sauce are these kind of dynamic playbooks, these insight-driven playbooks. So we work with our customers to come up with a broad set of really fine-grained insights and use those insights to drive the action in the playbooks that they use. We one of the only customer success platforms that have those fully automated journey playbooks. So Amity enables high precision customer relationships because we're giving you those fine-grained insights. So that starts by having really quantified relationships. So we collect a lot of data about your customers. We collect ticket data, we collect CRM data, billing data, usage data from your product, chat session data, CRM data. We pull all of that data together so that it's all collated and collected in one place for you. And then we feed that into our insight engine so that you can have what we call algorithmic relationship management. And that's just a fancy term for being insight-driven, being dynamic and insight-driven, and letting those insights determine your priorities rather than a static set of priorities. Then we feed those insights into our smart playbooks, just like we talked about a few minutes ago. And you can have manual, fully automatic, semi-automatic, or campaign playbooks. And then we feed that back into our reporting engine so that you can close the loop and see how well you're performing. So that's what the Amity product does. We work with every marketing automation platform that you're probably using, every CRM platform that you're probably using, and we have a very easy API for getting your usage and outcome data into our product. Keep clicking on the wrong spot. So the core benefits of Amity are, it gives you more control, more span of control, more confidence, more ability to work with all of those customers all of the time. We help you make those your processes scalable so that your costs grow slower than your revenues. We help you the teams way more productive, and customer success becomes a strategic hub for the entire business. And all of that is in service of minimizing churn, maximizing upsell and cross-sell, maximizing secondary revenue like references and referrals, and minimizing your cost of retention. So that's the Amity platform. We'd love to give you a demo. If you'd like to see these insight-driven playbooks in action, drop me an email or make a demo request on the website. We'd love to give you a tour of the product and find out more about your business. Okay, so pitch over. Now I'm just going to turn this over to you and see if there are any questions. Thanks, Ari. What is the typical amount of time to set Amity up and be up and running? So we recommend a crawl, walk, run approach to implementing Amity. That first period of getting up on a basic implementation is 2 to 4 weeks, and then we find our customers iterate their implementation for anywhere between 3 and 6 months as they start to learn the insights that they really want and the actions that they really want to take on those insights. So 2 to 4 weeks to get started, and then we work closely with you as you iterate to get the final solution that you need. Okay. Those are all the questions today? Well, there's a name I recognize. What kind of subscription model does Amity use? So we sell a site license. You can have as many users and as many features as you want to use. We do that to encourage adoption, and then we have a tiered pricing based on the MRR that you put on the platform on day one, and then you have complete cost certainty for the first 12 months of your contract. If you add a user, we don't charge you. If you add more data, we don't charge you. You know exactly what your cost will be for 12 months. Yeah, so how can automated playbooks be applied on usage data? Yeah, we do that. That's typically how we manage trial conversions or automated onboarding playbooks, where we'll watch your usage stream and either look for a cumulated number of events, like a certain number of dashboards presented, or certain key features used, and that'll be the trigger for moving the playbook forward. Great question. You're welcome, JF. Please define the difference between customer value and customer outcome. There is none. They're the same. Customer value is the higher level concept, and the value a customer receives may be broken up into a number of different outcomes. So for example, with our content marketing hub, we measure the content marketing hub in terms of visitors, in terms of some SEO measures, in terms of leads, and overall conversion rate. For an early-stage SaaS company focused on MRR growth, would you start at the bottom of the insight types, such as event insights? So when designing your insights, I always recommend starting to imagine the actions that you would typically take. And so if a customer is failing during onboarding, what kind of action would you take? And the insight you need to put in place are the ones that will tell you that they're failing during the onboarding process. And I've seen early stage startups put some really kick-ass insights together. Just blew my mind. Wow, that makes sense. I would never have thought of that. So there is no hard and fast rule, and it really all depends on, are you already gathering the outcome data? Are you already gathering the early indicator metrics of that outcome data? Are you tracking your usage? That usually is what limits the early stage insights. At what stage does it make sense for a startup to invest in a customer success platform? Well, I'm biased, but we've had customers implement Amity before they had any revenue. They wanted to get the right discipline and the right foundation in place. And one of those companies is really on a rocket ship ride right now. So getting the foundation in place makes sense. And as soon as you have too much going on with your customers to keep track of in your head, you probably need a customer success platform. Okay, if those are all the questions today, I'll thank everybody for coming out. I just want to mention our next webinar. So this is a huge event. I'm really excited to put this event together. The next webinar is Thursday, February 4th, and it's going to be an all C-suite executive session called Why Invest in a Customer Success Platform? The Business Case. I'll be the moderator asking questions, and the panelists are Daniela DeGrace. Daniela was EVP of Customer Success at both Salesforce.com and Radian6 before she became CEO of Gemba Software. Jason Tam is the CEO of a supply chain management SaaS company, Nulogy, and a longtime Amity customer. And Mark Stevenson is the CFO of Igloo Software, a fast-growing collaboration similar to PowerPoint that you can use, SharePoint that you can use platform. These are all senior executives that are being asked to justify spend decisions all the time, and this is your chance to ask them how they think about customer success and a customer success platform. So it's going to be an awesome event, and I'm really looking forward to it. Please join us for that. And thank you very much for coming out. And I hope that you got value from this, and I look forward to giving you a demo of the Amity platform or seeing you at the next webinar with Daniela, Jason, and Mark. Thanks, everybody.